To go. Plenty of baseball today with Tex. And as we were sitting here, they just called 3 more penalties in the National Football League yesterday. 3 more flags thrown in NFL games yesterday. That was excruciating. But let us begin with, without question, the game of the afternoon. Jets, Cowboys. Oh, Sammy Spleen is back. First game since week 1 out with mono. Amari Cooper, meanwhile, will play just 3 snaps. He had a quad injury, wouldn't return. Now, critical sequence in the game. On a 4th down, Cowboys going forward in Jets territory. They are stuffed. And on the very next play.
I love the aggressive play call by Adam Gase. A little bit of double move, hitch and go. Sam Darnold move in the pocket.
Oh!
Hold the safety with your eyes and then a...
Go! Robbie Anderson,
ball to Robbie Anderson.
92 yards, 14-3 Jets, under a minute to go in the half. Jets in the red zone, and Sam Darnold, who was so good in this first half, finding Ryan Griffin.
Yeah, really well done by Darnold here. He saw pressure, communicated with Griffin. If that guy blitzes, give me your eyes, in a great location with that throw.
Jets up 21-6 at the half. 21-9, here's Darnold's only mistake of the day.
I'm not talking about it. Never
I'm talking about it. It's a mistake by a young quarterback, but he did throw the ball well.
Can't do it. He was brilliant, but that was a huge mistake. However, Cowboys have missed a field goal. 4th quarter, under 7 minutes to go. Cowboys on a 3rd down from the 5. There's Ezekiel Elliott.
Hey, how about that? Best player on your team, beat him.
Punches it in 21-16. Jets will kick a field goal, so it's an 8-point game. Dak Prescott looking for Elliott on the pass, and this one the first of a sequence of penalty plays.
Yeah, so ticky-tacky, right? Is there somewhat contact before? Sure, but nothing aggressive for a flag.
Then consecutive penalties on the Cowboys, so it's 1st and 27, and they call interference on that.
Of course they do.
Yeah, Jamal Adams breathed on Witten there, so it deserved that penalty.
They stink. 6 consecutive plays with a flag. Jim Nantz almost came out of the booth. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott then eventually takes it in, so the whole game comes down to this. The 2-point conversion, and Rex, you hate the play call.
Why are you motioning the back out? Are you kidding me? Great timing by Jamal Adams on the blitz.
8 comes in, no flag. I still can't believe that. 24-22, Jets hold on to win. Huge win for Darnold, devastating for Dallas.
We just got to go out there and play better football. We're not playing very good football right now, so, I mean, I guess every week just got to get back to work tomorrow, get in the film room, see what went wrong, see what went well, and learn on it and, get better.
Don't change. Not at all. We know what the hell happened today. We beat ourselves just like last week. Now it's time to buckle down and, get things going.
I'm not sure he's making the point he thinks he's making. Let's start by talking about the Cowboys. On Jerry Jones' birthday, Pat, what did you see?
Yeah, they laid an absolute egg, and there's going to be a lot of conversation about who to blame. And anytime you're saying we beat ourselves, that has to go all the way to the top. And the top is also Jerry, but it's also Jason Garrett. In 3 criticals, I'm not sure they win a game again. I am not sure they win a game again with how things are going for the Cowboys. If you can't win on Jerry World's birthday against an 0-4 team, especially against a quarterback coming back from mono, you're never going to win a game again. But with that being said, there's 3 critical stats I think that we should look at if we're digging deeper on why this is Jason Garrett's fault. Time of possession, field position, and turnovers, right? 2 of those 3 stats are top 3 stats in determining who wins the game. They are 29th, 29th, and 30th in those in their last 3 losses. Those are things that fall right on the head coach, especially with bad decisions happening day in and day out. Jason Garrett is the picture of average, and now they're below average in this.
I tell you what, Jason Garrett, his butt is absolutely blistered.
What?
Well, I'm saying this. He's been on the hot seat for 10 years. That butt's blistered.
Okay.
He stays on the hot seat. And it's the truth, man. Like this
Thank you for clarifying.
Haven't we had, we talk about this every year on this show. They come out, hey, they win. Oh, they're the greatest. Oh, now they stink. And at the end of the year, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, hey, they're really good. And people like me are going to start believing in them again, and then they're going to lose first round of the playoffs.
The first 3 weeks of this season, their young offensive coordinator was the star of the NFL. What is it now?
Boy wonder you're talking about,
Yeah.
Katie? You guys said it. You guys said he's going to be a head coach. He's going to be all this. Yeah, where? What, some junior college? So, come on. Dude, he needs experience. That's all he did. But he showed his inexperience on that 2-point play. Only the play of the game. How do you motion a backup? What, are you surprised that Greg Williams is going to bring the house? Come on, you know he's going to send his best player, and that's what he did with Jamal Adams.
Let me come to my voice of reason over here, which is, I say that hesitantly. Dak Prescott obviously has been the topic of conversation throughout the offseason into this season. As you watched that game yesterday, how much of that loss was about him?
The reality is that if Dak's going to go to the table and ask for $40 million, you can't lose that football game. You cannot go to an 0-4 football team with a quarterback coming off of mono and lose if you're going to ask for $38 million. Now, listen, they missed Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb didn't play. Tyron Smith didn't play. He dealt with some drops. They obviously were a little bit overwhelmed offensive line-wise by this Jets defensive line. But at the end of the day, the conversation is, if we are going to pay you all that money, you figure out a way to beat a winless football team, and he didn't do that. And that's my biggest case with Dak. You can't ask for $40 million and lose that game.
So let me
Stock down, Greeny.
Red
Stock
arrow!
down.
Red arrow!
Let me make the next point that I think should be made here. We have had some conversation on this show about whether or not Dak Prescott is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Yesterday, he was definitively the second best quarterback on that field. Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. When healthy, which yesterday was the first time that he was. If you watched that game yesterday, you tell me, if you're starting a team, which quarterback is it you want?
Oh, there's no question I want Sam Darnold. Who had the same amount of talent surrounding him or support system? I'd say pretty similar, right? Who was going against a...
Pretty similar.
I would say that Sam Darnold would have less talent.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
absolutely.
Yes. I mean, again, Dak was
Absolutely.
without Cobb and Cooper, right? And then who's going against a more talented defense? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold gave mouth-to-mouth to the city of New York. Like, no pun intended from the mono.
Yeah.
But it was just so exciting. Like, he makes everyone better. Gase was better. Robbie Anderson was better. DT was better. The offensive line was better. Le'Veon Bell was better. Sam Darnold.
I think Rex and I were talking about this earlier. I completely forgot that Sam Darnold was a good quarterback. Yeah. It's hard not to fall into the trap of a guy having mono as a professional athlete. Because whenever I was in school, kid got mono, he came back 30 pounds lighter, he wasn't really healthy and anything like that. Sam Darnold got mono and somehow became a better football player, which in turn made his offensive line better, made his weapons better, and the entire New York Jets organization, instead of being a part of the suck bowl, who's going to get the #1 pick, now Greeny and all Jets fans everywhere are like, we got a guy and we potentially have a future, and we're definitely going to cover against the New England Patriots next week.
That's who they get next week, is the Jets get them, and then they get on a ridiculously easy run of schedule. But there's no need to get ahead of that. We have a lot more on this game yesterday, including the officiating, which was a huge part of the conversation.
Stink!
But with the Cowboys losing, what did that mean for the Eagles? Elle?
Well, it was a missed opportunity for the Eagles. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, Stephon not digging the Vikings offense. You see what I did there? Let's take you there. What a difference 2 weeks makes, Dan, because Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs teamed up a couple of times in historic fashion. This is the first of 2 huge touchdowns.
Yeah, this is the horror story for the Eagles yesterday. Great play design, cut Diggs' split, and a big ball by Kirk Cousins downfield.
That was 62 yards, and then he goes for 51-yard touchdown. First Vikings player to catch 2 touchdown passes of 50-plus yards in a game since Randy Moss in 2000 against the Lions. Pat, this is just essentially a lot of highlights of Stephon Diggs blowing by DBs. A huge opportunity here for the Eagles, and they're unable to deliver because Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs team up for 7 catches, 167 yards.
Toe touch.
Toe touch, beautiful there. And Mike Zimmer just cannot help himself afterwards.
Thought that was a really good win, and we threw it 29 times, not 10. So everybody can be happy now.
Yeah, it's all fun and games when you're winning games. Let's bring it back to the Eagles, and let's take a look at the NFC East at large, right? Because you now have Dallas and Philly sitting at 3-3. I mean, I thought this was supposed to be like one of the preeminent divisions in NFL. What do you make of what's happening right now there?
I think the reality is, if we're talking about the Eagles, their season completely hinges on them making a trade for a cornerback. Their secondary, especially at the corner position, is so bad. And that's been the storyline for them this year, is the 2 young corners in Douglas and Sidney Jones just haven't panned out. And this is a championship caliber team and roster. Their total success long-term this year is dependent on Howie Roseman not only making a trade for a corner, but he's got to go get a good corner. I don't know what it's going to go take, but you can't rely on those 2 young corners anymore. They're not good enough.
And I think the NFC East stinks. I mean, let's just say it how it is. We're forced to watch them every single week. There are a lot of big fan bases. They're always on national television. You look at the Redskins, big win yesterday in the Suck Bowl against the Dolphins. They're not going to have the number 1 pick, probably the number 2 pick. That place is a complete dumpster fire. The Giants have seemed to come back down to earth after the Danny Dimes run they had for a little bit. The Philadelphia Eagles don't have a secondary, so anybody that can throw a football is going to slice and dice them. And the Cowboys are still being coached by Jason Garrett, so they're going to be average. The NFC East is a 2-horse race between Eagles and Cowboys, but I don't think either of them are going to do damage later unless the Eagles can figure out how to get a better defense, and if the Cowboys can find a new head coach that doesn't make them stink and be average on such a regular basis.
I'm not as dire on the NFC East as Pat is. It's a little
sick of it.
The reality is it's a 2-man race between Dallas and Philadelphia. And the next 5 weeks, we'll know a lot. They kind of play a very similar schedule, opponent-wise, and we'll know a lot who's going to be the dominant team in that division.
They face each other on Sunday Night Football, too, so there'll be some self-cannibalizing there. But you do have the Giants getting Saquon Barkley back. They're still in the fold as well, and I think that's pretty indicative, Greeny, of how bad the NFC East is.
Then let us get to the team everyone talked about all summer long. Baker Mayfield and the Browns taking on Seattle. Second quarter, Browns are up 8. Chance to extend their lead. They're on the 10-yard line, and Baker Mayfield does that.
And this is the story of the game right now for Cleveland is the missed accuracy by Baker. It's the right play call versus the right defense, the right read. The ball has to be out in front of Landry.
It's his third red zone pick of the season in 26 attempts. Meanwhile, here comes Russell Wilson. Look at him buying time.
This is the beauty of Russell Wilson. Hang in the pocket, keep your poise, and watch that throw. Thrown away from that driving defender, perfect location.
Seahawks have been down 2 touchdowns. Now they're ahead. Fourth quarter going back and forth. This was the crazy sequence. This is Baker to Landry. Landry fumbles on his way into the end zone. It's recovered in the end zone. You can't fumble a ball forward on a 4th down, but hold everything. Freddie Kitchens is going to challenge. He thinks it should have been a touchdown in the first place. They ultimately don't allow him to. Remember the challenge he doesn't have. They would repeat 4th down, and in this case, they're stuffed.
This is what penetration will do to a run game. Outstanding job by Seattle defensively selling out and making that stop.
But in that moment, it doesn't decide the game because the Browns defense comes up big. They hold them there on the 1-yard line. And then, that's
easy, Rex. Not great. Not ideal.
23-yard punt from Michael Dixon, so the Browns are in business, and ultimately they're going to give it to Nick Chubb, who's going to take it in, and after a 2-point conversion, Cleveland is back in front, 28-25. Now we go the other way, and Seattle is going to pound it home behind Chris Carson as we're going back and forth.
Yeah, big-time drive by Seattle and finishing by Chris Carson. This is when Seattle kind of took control of this football game.
And so it comes down to this. Baker Mayfield on the field, at home, huge moment in front of the dog pound. Is that one his fault?
Yeah, I mean, this is not the ideal location for this throw. You certainly want the running back to settle in there a little bit, but if you put it on his body, that's an easier catch.
Now, remember the challenge that Freddie Kitchens used earlier. Keep it in mind here as the Seahawks are trying to ice the game with a 1st down late. That is a ball to DK Metcalf on the sideline, bobbled, dropped. They ruled this a catch, and Freddie Kitchens can't challenge it.
You got to keep one in your holster.
It shouldn't even be needed. He stepped out of bounds during the bobble.
Seahawks a win.
Bad officiating?
Are you angry? Just sort of how?
Yeah, we lost. I'm pretty pissed.
Yeah. So you were angry at the start of this game then?